I'm back outside again today in the UK exotic tropical garden. After a few days of recording houseplant videos, it's time to come out here and do some proper work. Inevitably and sadly, today is the day when virtually all of this will be cut down to the ground. It's beyond the middle of November and we've not yet had a frost, which is quite extraordinary. I was looking at some photographs and I'd had to do this job much earlier in the year last year, but it's been unseasonably warm this year. However, frost is just around the corner. In fact, in 3 days' time, it's going to go below zero. So I'm going to cut this down to the ground and protect it before nature does the job for me. If I do it and I put some protection in place, there's a very good chance that all these plants will survive through the winter. If I leave it to nature, unfortunately some of these plants will die off because they're just not frost hardy in the UK. So cutting it down to size is a job for another video, and I'm going to do that whole job in one take and fast forward it with some slides to explain what I'm doing. In this video I'm just going to do a catch up and a roundup of where we got to this year with this UK exotic tropical border. There are some incredible results in this border. I'm so pleased. I'm thinking specifically about this Tetrapanax here and the Musa Basjoo, but we'll go into a little bit more detail. I'll do a complete 360. To my right, through a gap here, is my tree fern garden. Then here we have the UK exotic tropical plants, and then over there, you can't see it at the moment, but I'll show it you. There is a bamboo hedge, and then down to the right there's some troughs with miscanthus in, big grasses. So we're kind of enclosed in a space here. Today's focus is going to be on the UK exotic tropical border. There'll be a video on protecting the tree ferns in another video, and there'll be a video on chopping this down separately. I just want to give you a roundup and show you some of the plants as they are right now. So I'm going to get hold of the camera and give you a handheld tour before we destroy it. So let's start off over here with what you couldn't see behind the camera. There's the bamboo hedge. I put that in about 12 months ago and it's doing really well, and eventually it's going to grow up to form a nice screen. Then what I intend doing is de-leafing all the stalks, so we have lovely exposed stalks up to a certain level, and then we'll have the greenery at the top, and at the back of that there'll be a black fence, and that will provide a lovely feature. This tree fern here is not staying here. I have 3 tree ferns which are going to be moved into a new garden. We'll come back to that another time. There's the miscanthus troughs, and they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're dying back for the winter. This is Miscanthus giganteus. I did a video on it and I acknowledged that it's the wrong plant for these troughs. It's going to get too big next year. It's going to go all the way up there and it's going to be too big in diameter, so we might have to think about that next year, but they're there for now. Bamboo stays evergreen, by the way. That grass loses its leaves. It's deciduous. There's the tree fern garden through there. There's my little windy path, and there are the tree ferns still currently resplendent and green and doing incredibly well. Nature will put a stop to that shortly. The frost will get onto these fronds or cosias and turn them brown, and they won't last the winter, but I will protect the crowns, and I've already done it in another video, so I'll link to it at the end of this one just in case you want to know right now, but those crowns will be protected. These will be left exposed, probably turn brown, and then in the springtime I'll decapitate it just for aesthetics. You can leave them on if you want, it's a question of choice. I also did a video on do tree ferns produce roots. I've come into the fernery here. I've kind of digressed a little bit from my original intention, but this is the fernery, the tree fernery. There's my little round patio. I've done videos on all these. You can find them on my channel. Search patio, search winding path. These are the little things that I did to try and enhance the tree trunks, little coir baskets. I made them. Again, there's a video on that. There's a video on virtually everything in my garden. But these are the tree ferns. Now, this is my fernery, my little fernery. That plant is there. It's called Mind Your Own Business. It's a lovely plant and it gives all this ground cover here, look, through here. Right, let's get back to the plot. Let's go back to the UK exotic tropical border. Arum lilies and hostas dying back for the winter. There's a little statue which gives us the Gothic feel. Now I was just going to tell you that I did a video on do tree ferns produce roots, and I dug one up to show you the roots. This one here has been here only 6 months, 9 months at the most, can't exactly remember. I tried moving it the other day. It's already set. It's set in stone. But that has got roots. Now, this big one here, that medium-sized one there, and that small one that's in there are all going to be relocated next year. I'm going to do another little fernery down here in this area. I was going to use this for a pond, but I found some foundations, so I'm going to not do the pond there. I'm going to use the solar powered pond pump somewhere else, and that's going to be a little fernery garden there, which will continue the theme out from in there. Let's get back inside. Right, let's get back to the plot. Keep saying that and keep digressing. Tetrapanax, look at these leaves, incredible. I'm hoping that these trunks this year will survive the winter and we get some height on this. If it dies back, then it will shoot from the ground, and that's what happened last year. It shot up from the ground, and that's why I've got 2 trunks. This year I'm hoping to protect those trunks and get some height next year. Look at those leaves, aren't they incredible? I've had an idea for these. I'm going to take the big ones off, and that's about 18 inches across, and I'm going to press them and dry them, and I'm going to put them in picture frames, and I'm hoping they'll make a nice little addition to the garage conversion, which I'm converting into a luxury bedroom suite. Anyway, once again I digress. Let's have a peep through here at the back. Colocasia pink china in there. Look at that. That is 4 foot high. There's leaves through there. They're coming up all over the place. That's been in the ground for 2 years now. Look at the size of its trunk down there. The diameter of that trunk, take my word for it, is 1.5 inches. And there's a baby one down there, and that's the mother plant. There's another baby one down here, and there's a couple more through the back there. So that Colocasia pink china has done really well. Up here we have a Cana. Again, take my word for it, but I'm reaching up. I'm 6 foot tall. That's out of reach. That is nearly 10 foot tall. Cana Musa. Now, I've always said, and I've made this mistake several times, these don't produce flowers. They do produce flowers. They've just never produced flowers in my garden, and I keep them here for the leaves. Because look at that. That's a Cana leaf, and it's 2 foot long. Cana Musa. It's an incredible Cana, that, all the way up there. I've got lots of other Canas in here which do produce flowers. There's a sort of a dark coloured one. The flowers are gone, of course. There might be some seeds on there, and I know that you can actually propagate them from seed. I might try that one year. I'm not going to try it this year. Got too much on. Persicaria there, look, peeping through with the diamond shaped leaves, sorry, spear shaped leaves, and it's still got some flowers on it. All coming down today. A little green man face peeping through at the back there. Down here we have a ginger. Look at that ginger, it's still in flower. Look at those beautiful little red berries on there. Isn't that amazing? I've never seen that before. Presumably that's some kind of fruit on that Himalayan ginger. I think it's a Himalayan. Wow, amazing. Let's have a look, see if we can see anything down there. Just more Persicaria in the back down there, and more Cana Musa down here. Is a red hot poker. Unfortunately, this was disadvantaged. It never really got to see the light of day, and therefore it never actually did anything. It never flowered. It's in there. Probably a mistake to put it in there underneath all that other foliage. Plants do need light. Right, look at this. Colocasia esculenta. The green Colocasia, the one that's not hardy. Did you see my video last week where I went and bought some taro bulbs? You can grow this from taro, and you can buy taro bulbs from ethnic international food shops. There's a video on it, and I will link it at the end of this, but hopefully for the price of £1, which was basically how much the bulbs cost, I might be able to grow some of these myself. That is my only surviving Colocasia esculenta. I had a collection of about 25 of them, I did all the right things last winter. I protected them, I took them indoors, and it went so cold up there in the garage loft that they all died and perished. And ironically, the only one that was left in the ground, and it will remain in the ground this year as well, is the only one that survived. Tree fern there, Dicksonia antarctica, that's coming out. But would you believe it, that was a spare one. My other half went a little bit crazy and bought 3 more this year, so it got plonked there, that got plonked there, and that one got plonked there, and those are the ones that are now going to be removed and relocated to create another fern garden. There's another ginger, the leaves turning yellow because it's no longer photosynthesizing, the remnants of some flowers. That started off as one plant. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 little ginger plants in there. They've been lovely this year, and these blooms have been wonderful. And sadly, it's all going to get cut back in a moment. There's a dark coloured Cana, which you've already seen. I put the mirror up at the back there. Quite controversial. Quite a few people said we shouldn't have mirrors in gardens because birds fly into them. I can happily report that not a single bird has flown into that mirror this year. Now, that might change in the winter when I remove this foliage. I'll keep an eye on it. It's got what looks like a kind of window frame around it, so maybe that will distract them from flying into it. Anyway, it's there, and it makes the garden feel bigger, and it adds a feature on that blank wall. Those are my Musa Basjoo green bananas, and they've done incredibly well. I managed to save the height last year by wrapping the stalks, and I will be doing the same thing this year. I will be protecting the stalks. 1, 2, 3, 4 large ones, and then down at the base several little pups. So that's how they propagate. They produce pups around the base. Then somebody told me that actually they produce pups when they're about to die, but I've seen no evidence of the parent plants dying yet. So hopefully we'll keep the parents and the pups next year. It's going to involve something different this year because I've got to protect a group of bananas. Last year I protected 3 individually, and this year I've got a group of about 8 in a kind of a block. So I'm going to think of something different to protect those this year, and hopefully cut the leaves off, keep the height so that next year they grow all the way up there. Down here, another pink china. Now look at this, several little pink chinas down here, but look at that, isn't it a shame? Because that's producing flowers, 1 flower there and 1 flower there. And sadly, they're not going to last in that form, because even though the pink china is a hardy Colocasia, those leaves will all die down, and that's why I will cut them down. Some lovely leaves though. You can see the leaves are starting to discolour. That's because there's not enough light and heat for them to photosynthesize, so they'll lose the green. When leaves go yellow, it's when it stops producing chlorophyll, which is the product of photosynthesis, and that's why that one down there in the shade has gone yellow before that one, and they get progressively lighter. And that's how they'll all go eventually, because there just isn't enough light and heat in the UK to help them survive, so they'll have to go. Some more Canas over here. Done extremely well this year, but about to be cut all the way back. So there is, there's another thing down here as well, which I always forget to mention. Crinium Putwilii, I think it's pronounced, down there. Started off as 1 plant, there's about 7, and it produces a lovely kind of spider-like bloom that comes up in about this space here, so that's quite a nice plant to have in your exotic tropical border. Let me just tell you what I'm about to do before I finish. I'm going to save those big Tetrapanax leaves to try and press them and put them in a picture frame. Colocasia leaves, top of the Cana leaves, top of the Musa Basjoo leaves, all the Canas down to the ground, cutting them all up, put them on a board here, chop it all up, and then use that as a mulch. Then I'm going to get 6 or 7 barrel loads of manure, not well rotted, fresh manure from a neighbour's polo ponies. I'm going to put it all over there in a thick mulch, 4 inches thick, all the way around the base of all the plants. Some of the plants, for example the Tetrapanax stalks, will stick up through it, as will the Musa Basjoo stalks. They'll stick up through it as well. And that will form the basis of my winter protection. On top of that, I'm going to put weed fabric, which is permeable. It lets some of the rain through, but not all of it. Most of the rain will run off, and that's advantageous because some of these roots don't want to be too soggy in the winter. They don't mind the cold, but that there, if that gets wet and cold, that escalenta, that'll just perish and die. So I think it survived last year because it was relatively dry underneath the mulch and underneath with weed fabric. That's my plan for today. And I'm just getting some last footage before I destroy it, and what a shame, because it's been incredible. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this, and do watch out for the video, which you'll see in fast forward, with slides, where I just take that, raise it to the ground. I'll see you soon for some more gardening, although it probably won't be exotic tropical gardening until next spring. Bye for now.